The birth of Prophet Muhammad, PBUH. Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, the seal of the prophets, was born on a Monday morning, the 9th of Rabi al-Awwal, in the year of the elephant, which corresponds to April 20 or 22, 571 AD. This date falls during the 40th year of the reign of Kisra, Khosrow Nushirwan, according to scholars such as Muhammad Sulayman al-Mansurpuri and Mahmud Pasha, an astrologer. Sources: Mahadarat Tariq al-Yumam al-Islamiyya 162nd, Rahmathul Alamin 138-39. He was born in the Banu Hashim lane in Makkah. Miraculous signs at his birth. Though some reports are debated, several remarkable signs are associated with his birth. His mother Amina narrated, "When he was born, a light issued from me and lit up the palaces of Syria." Source: Tabaqat ibn Sa'd 163rd, Mukhtasar Seerat Rasul, page 12. Other reported events, though controversial and not unanimously accepted. 14 balconies of Kisra's, Persian emperors, palace collapsed. The sacred fire of the Magians, Zoroastrians, died out after burning for centuries. Churches on Lake Salwa collapsed, and the lake dried up. Source: reported by al-Bayhaqi, Al-Ghazali expressed skepticism, see Fiqh Sirah page 46. Naming and early care. As soon as he was born, Amina sent word to Abdul-Muttalib, his grandfather. Overjoyed, Abdul-Muttalib took the newborn to the Kaaba, offered thanks to Allah, and gave him the name Muhammad, which was uncommon among Arabs at the time. He was circumcised on the 7th day after his birth, following Arab tradition. Sources: Ibn Hisham 1/159-160, Zad al-Ma'ad 1/18. First caretaker and wet nurse. The first woman to breastfeed him after his mother was Thuwayba, the slave of Abu Lahab. She also nursed Hamza bin Abdul-Muttalib, the Prophet's uncle. Abu Salamah bin Abd al-Asad al-Makhzumi. Sources: Talqi Fuhum al-Athar, page 4, Mukhtasar Sirat Rasul, page 13. Babyhood was the general custom of the Arabs living in towns to send their children away to Bedouin wet nurses so that they might grow up in the free and healthy surroundings of the desert, whereby they would develop a robust frame and acquire the pure speech and manners of the Bedouins, who were noted both for chastity of their language and for being free from those vices which usually develop in sedentary societies. The Prophet, PBUH, was later entrusted to Halima bint Abi Dwaib from Bani Sa'd bin Bakr. Her husband was Al-Harith bin Abdul Uzza, called Abi Kabsha, from the same tribe. Muhammad, PBUH, had several foster brothers and sisters: Abdullah bin Al-Harith, Anisa bint Al-Harith, Hudafa or Judama bint Al-Harith, known as Ash-Shema, and she used to nurse the Prophet, PBUH, and Abu Sufyan bin Al-Harith bin Abdul-Muttalib, the Prophet's cousin. Hamza bin Abdul-Muttalib, the Prophet's Msnau 38 uncle, was suckled by the same two wet nurses, Thuwayba and Halima as-Sa'diyah, who suckled the Prophet, PBUH. Zad al-Ma'ad 1/19, traditions delightfully relate how Halima and the whole of her household were favored by successive strokes of good fortune while the baby Muhammad, PBUH, lived under her care. Ibn Ishaq states that Halima narrated that she, along with her husband and a suckling babe, set out from her village in the company of some women of her clan in quest of children to suckle. She said, "It was a year of drought and famine and we had nothing to eat. I rode on a brown she-ass. We also had with us an old she-camel. By all, we could not get even a drop of milk. We could not have a wink of sleep during the night, for the child kept crying on account of hunger. There was not enough milk in my breast, and even the she-camel had nothing to feed him. We used to constantly pray for rain and immediate relief. At length we reached Makkah looking for children to suckle. Not even a single woman amongst us accepted the messenger of all. PBUH offered to her. As soon as they were told that he was an orphan, they refused him. We had fixed our eyes on the reward that we would get from the child's father. An orphan. What are his grandfather and mother likely to do? So we spurned him because of that. Every woman who came with me got a suckling, and when we were about to depart, I said to my husband, by all, I do not like to go back along with the other women without any baby. I should go to that orphan and I must take him. He said, there is no harm in doing so, and perhaps all might bless us through him. So I went and took him, because there was simply no other alternative left for me but to take him. When I lifted him in my arms and returned to my place, I put him on my breast, and to my great surprise, I found enough milk in it. He drank to his heart's content, and so did his foster brother, and then both of them went to sleep, although my baby had not been able to sleep the previous night. Blessings in the house of Halima. Later that night, Halima's husband approached their she-camel to try milking it, and to his amazement, it was overflowing with milk. He milked it generously, and both he and Halima drank to their satisfaction. That night, for the first time in a long while, they slept peacefully and contentedly. The next morning, her husband turned to her and said, Halima, by Allah, this child you've brought is undoubtedly blessed. She responded with a hopeful heart. Indeed, I believe Allah has granted us a great blessing through him. A new turn of fortune. From the moment Muhammad, PBUH, came into her care, everything changed. The very donkey that had brought Halima to Mecca, once weak and limping, now moved swiftly and with renewed strength, surprising everyone in the caravan. As they journeyed home to the land of Banu Sa'd, they witnessed fortune smiling upon them. The once barren pastures now grew lush greenery, and their animals began returning from grazing healthy, full, and rich in milk. The change was so striking that others in the tribe began to recognize that this child had brought with him prosperity and divine favor. Extended stay and the chest cleansing event. Muhammad, PBUH, remained in Halima's care for 2 full years, after which he was weaned. When they brought him back to his mother, Amina, Halima and her husband pleaded with her to let the boy remain with them a bit longer. They pointed to the blessings his presence had brought and raised concerns about a local illness in Mecca. Their plea was granted, and he stayed with them until he was about 4 or 5 years old. One day, as narrated by Anas in Sahih Muslim, a remarkable incident occurred. The angel Gabriel, descended, opened the prophet's chest, removed his heart, and extracted a black clot, saying, "This is the part of Satan in you." He then washed the heart with Zamzam water in a golden basin, and returned it to its place, whole and pure. The neighborhood children, witnessing the scene, ran to Halima in terror, crying, "Muhammad has been killed." They all rushed to him and found him alive, but his face had turned pale. Sources: Ibn Hisham 1/162-164, Muslim 192. A mother's farewell and return to Mecca. After the remarkable chest-cleansing incident, Halima began to worry for the young Muhammad, PBUH, and felt it best to return him to his mother, Amina. From that point on, he remained in his mother's care until the age of 6. Sources: Tawqif Furum al-Athar page 7, Ibn Hisham 1/168. Out of love for her late husband, Amina resolved to visit his grave in Yathrib, Medina. Accompanied by her beloved son, her loyal servant Ayman, and Abdul-Muttalib, the boy's grandfather, she set off on the long journey of around 500 kilometers. After spending about a month in Yathrib, they began their journey home. However, on the return trip, Amina fell gravely ill and passed away at Abwa, a location between Mecca and Medina. Sources: Ibn Hisham 1/168, Tawqif Furum al-Athar page 7. In the care of his grandfather. Now orphaned of both parents, Muhammad, PBUH, was brought back to Mecca by his grandfather, Abdul-Muttalib. The elder chief was deeply moved by the loss of his beloved grandson's mother, which added sorrow upon sorrow. Yet, his love and affection for Muhammad, PBUH, surpassed that for his own sons. A special seat, a mattress in the shade of the Kaaba, was reserved for Abdul-Muttalib. While his sons would respectfully sit around it, the young Muhammad, PBUH, would confidently sit on it. Though his uncles would try to guide him away, Abdul-Muttalib would intervene, saying, "Let my grandson be. By Allah, he shall one day hold a great position." He would then sit him beside himself, lovingly pat his back, and take joy in all that the child did. Source, Ibn Hisham 1/168. To Abu Talib, the loyal uncle. At the age of 8 years, 2 months, and 10 days, Abdul-Muttalib passed away in Mecca. The guardianship of the young prophet, PBUH, then passed to Abu Talib, the full brother of his late father. Abu Talib took him into his home with great devotion and warmth. He treated him not only as one of his own, but with even greater love and care, prioritizing his needs above his own children's. His loyalty never wavered, and for over 40 years, Abu Talib stood as a shield for his nephew, offering protection, respect, and unwavering support. His relationships with others were shaped by how they treated Muhammad, PBUH. A sign from the heavens. A report by Ibn Asakir, through Jalhama bin Arfuda, narrates a powerful event. During a time of drought in Mecca, the Quraysh pleaded with Abu Talib to pray for rain. He took the young Muhammad, PBUH, with him to the Kaaba. The boy stood beside him, radiating beauty and innocence, a dark cloud shading him from above. As they prayed near the sacred wall, clouds gathered from all corners, and rain poured abundantly, reviving the land and refilling the springs. The people of Mecca witnessed the mercy that came with the boy. Sources, Mukhtasar Seerat Rasul p.15-16. The journey to Syria and the encounter with Bahira. At the age of 12, the Messenger of Allah, PBUH, accompanied his uncle Abu Talib on a trade expedition to Syria. When they arrived at Basra, a town in the province of Haran under Roman rule, they were warmly welcomed by a Christian monk named Bahira, whose actual name was George. Unlike previous visits, Bahira extended exceptional hospitality to the caravan. He quickly recognized something unique about the young Muhammad, PBUH. Holding his hand, Bahira declared, "This boy is the master of all mankind. Allah will send him as a prophet, a mercy to the worlds." Abu Talib, surprised, asked how he could be so sure. Bahira replied, "When you approached from the direction of Aqaba, I saw every tree and rock bow in prostration, something they do only for a prophet. Also, I identified the seal of prophethood, which lies beneath his shoulder and resembles an apple. This is described in our scriptures." Out of concern, Bahira advised Abu Talib not to continue the journey to Syria, fearing hostility from the Jews. Abu Talib took the warning seriously and arranged for the young Muhammad, PBUH, to return safely to Mecca with some of his trusted companions. Sources, Ibn Hisham 1/180-183, Zod al-Ma'ad 117. The Sacrilegious Wars. By the time Muhammad, PBUH, was around 15, a series of fierce conflicts known as the Sacrilegious Wars broke out. These battles involved the Quraysh and Banu Kinana on one side and the Qays-Alan tribe on the other. The wars gained their title because they were fought during the sacred months, during which warfare was traditionally forbidden. Harb bin Umayyah, a respected nobleman, led the Quraysh due to his status and lineage. The young Muhammad, PBUH, participated, not as a warrior, but by supporting his uncles. He collected arrows fired by the enemy and passed them to his uncles, a role of service, not violence. Sources, Ibn Hisham 1/184-187. Kalb Jazirat al-Arab page 260. The Al-Feudal Pact. After the wars ended, the people of Mecca recognized the urgent need to promote justice and protect the vulnerable. This led to the formation of a noble alliance called the Hilf al-Feudal. Representatives from several prominent clans, Banu Hashim, Banu al-Muttalib, Asad bin Abd al-Uzza, Zara bin Kilab, and Taym bin Murrah, gathered at the home of Abdullah bin Judin at-Taymi, a respected elder. The pact aimed to defend the rights of the oppressed, uphold justice, and prevent wrongdoing. Years later, reflecting on this agreement after prophethood, the Messenger of Allah, PBUH, said, "I witnessed a pact in the house of Abdullah bin Judin that was more valuable to me than a herd of red camels. Even today, under Islam, I would answer the call to such an agreement." Sources, Ibn Hisham 1/113-135. The spirit behind the Al-Feudal Pact. The Al-Feudal Confederacy was not just an agreement, it signified a turning point in Makkah's tribal culture, moving away from pride-driven loyalties toward a genuine stand for justice. The story behind its formation involved a merchant from the Zubayd tribe who sold goods in Makkah to Al-Az bin Wa'il as-Sami. However, the latter refused to pay him, using deceit to avoid settling the debt. The Zubaydi merchant pleaded for support from various Quraysh clans, but no one came to his aid. In desperation, he climbed a mountain and cried out in verse, lamenting the injustice he had suffered. His poetry caught the attention of Az-Zubair bin Abdul Muttalib, who investigated the matter. As a result, the leaders of the new alliance convened and compelled Al-Az bin Wa'il to return the man's rightful dues, a powerful act that set a precedent for justice in pre-Islamic Makkah. Sources: Mukhtasar Seerat Rasul, pages 30-31. The Prophet's early work. During his youth, Muhammad, PBUH, did not engage in a fixed profession. However, it is known that he worked as a shepherd for the tribe of Banu Sa'd and later in Makkah. At the age of 25, he was employed by Khadija bint Khuwaylid, a noble and wealthy businesswoman of the Quraysh. Khadija, who often hired men to conduct trade in return for a share of the profits, had heard of Muhammad's honesty, truthfulness, and noble character. She offered him a higher wage than others and assigned her trusted servant Seerat to accompany him on a business trip to Syria. Sources: Ibn Hisham 1/187-188. Marriage to Khadija, R.A. When Muhammad, PBUH, returned from Syria, Khadija was deeply impressed. The journey had brought more profit and blessings than ever before. Seerat spoke highly of Muhammad's noble conduct, trustworthiness, and sincerity. Having turned down many previous suitors, Khadija now felt she had found someone truly exceptional. She confided in her friend Nafisa bint Munya, who then approached Muhammad, PBUH, to propose marriage on Khadija's behalf. He accepted, and soon after, his uncles approached Khadija's family to formalize the proposal. The marriage contract was witnessed by Banu Hashim and other leading families from Madar. The Prophet, PBUH, gave her 20 camels as a dowry. At that time, Khadija was 40, known for her noble lineage, wealth, and wisdom. She became the first and only wife of the Prophet, PBUH, until her passing, holding a place of unmatched love and respect in his life. Sources: Ibn Hisham 1/189, Fiqh as-Sirah page 59, Talqi Fahum al-Athar page 7. The children of Khadija and the Prophet, PBUH. Khadija, R.A., bore all of the Prophet Muhammad's, PBUH, children except Ibrahim. Their children included Al-Qasim, Zainab, Ruqayya, Kulthum, Fatima, and Abdullah, also called Tayyib and Tahir. All the Prophet's sons passed away in childhood. Among his daughters, only Fatima survived him. She passed away 6 months after his death. All his daughters embraced Islam, witnessed its early struggles, and migrated to Medina alongside the believers. Sources: Ibn Hisham 1/190-191, Fath al-Bari 7/507. Reconstruction of the Kaaba and the arbitration of the Black Stone. At the age of 35, 5 years before his prophethood, the Quraysh decided to rebuild the Kaaba. The sacred building, originally built during the time of Prophet Ismail, a.s., had become weak and roofless, allowing easy theft and damage due to age and weather. A great flood had nearly destroyed it, prompting the Quraysh to act in order to preserve its sanctity. They agreed to fund the rebuilding only with pure money, excluding anything earned through usury, immorality, or injustice. Though hesitant to start, Al-Walid bin al-Mughira began the demolition, and others joined after seeing no harm had come to him. They continued until reaching the foundations of Ibrahim, a.s. A Roman builder named Bacum was hired to construct the new walls. Each tribe took responsibility for a section, working in unity, until it was time to place the black stone. Here, tribal pride flared. Each clan wanted the honor of positioning the sacred stone, and the dispute escalated dangerously for 4 or 5 days. To resolve the conflict, Abu Umayyah bin Mughira, the eldest chief, suggested, let the first person who enters the sanctuary decide the matter. By the will of Allah, the Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, was the first to walk in. The people rejoiced, Al-Amin has come. We accept his decision. Calm and wise, the Prophet, PBUH, placed the stone on a mantle, asked leaders of each tribe to hold its edges, and together they lifted it. When they reached the proper height, the Prophet, PBUH, himself placed the black stone into its spot. Thus, through his wisdom and fairness, he prevented bloodshed and united the tribes at a critical moment. Sources: Ibn Hisham 1/190-191. Quraysh's alterations to the Kaaba. During the reconstruction of the Kaaba, the Quraysh ran out of licit, lawful, funds. Due to this shortfall, they excluded a 6-yard section on the northern side, known as Al-Hijr or Al-Hatim, even though it was originally part of the sacred structure built by Prophet Ibrahim, a.s. They also elevated the Kaaba's entrance by 2 meters above ground, making it accessible only to those they chose. Once complete, the new structure stood 15 meters high in a square shape. The side containing the black stone and its opposite side were each 10 meters long, while the remaining 2 sides measured 12 meters. The black stone was placed 1.5 meters above the ground, at the level where pilgrims performed tawaf, circumambulation. The raised entrance stood at 2 meters high, and around the base of the Kaaba, they constructed a ledge-like structure called Ash-Shadarwan, about 0.25 meters high and 0.30 meters wide. Originally part of the sanctuary, this structure was left out by the Quraysh during the rebuild. Sources: Bukhari 1/215, Fiqh-as-Sirah pages 62-63, Ibn Hisham 2/192-197. A quick overview of the Prophet's life before prophethood. Before his prophethood, Muhammad, PBUH, embodied the finest qualities of character. He possessed a thoughtful, weighty mind and exceptional moral insight. Gifted with intelligence, originality, and discernment, he always chose paths that led to noble goals. He was deeply reflective, often keeping long periods of silence and meditating over life's deeper truths. His nature was pure, untainted by the superstitions and evils that plagued his society. While he avoided idle festivities, idol worship, and practices like drinking alcohol or eating meat sacrificed at pagan altars, he participated in honest, constructive social activities. His hatred for idolatry was intense. He could not bear hearing oaths by Al-Lat or Al-Uzza. Divine care seemed to guide him. Even on the rare occasions when he tried to engage in worldly pleasures like his peers, Allah's protection would divert him, shielding him from moral decline. He once shared, "I have never attempted to do what my people did, except on 2 occasions." This reflects that even in moments of curiosity, Allah's mercy protected his path, preserving him for a greater mission ahead. Source: Ibn al-Athir.